One of my favorite things about Super Bowl week is it's the first time since the end of the 2025 NFL season that everybody is all together in one massive room. In fact, it's really one of the only times it happens every single year. It's like Super Bowl week, combine, draft, that's it. So automatically, every single year, like clockwork, this week gives us a ton of inside scoop on some of the top prospects and top players across the National Football League. And we've got some big Maxx Crosby trade rumors coming from Jay Glazer. They are back, and they are getting real, ladies and gentlemen. And this is not the first time that we've discussed trading for Maxx Crosby. In fact, I think since our season has ended, we've already discussed it twice. Now, of course, this latest report brings these discussions back up for Baltimore. But this ain't nothing new for us because I have been talking about it pretty much since I took over here at the Ravens Rundown. In fact, if you throw it back about a year and a half ago, October 18th, 2024, you can see that screenshot right there. Imagine Maxx Crosby as a Raven. I have been imagining it for the last 17 months, and I'm time for it to happen. This is all coming from Jay Glazer, went on with the podcast Yahoo Sports Daily during Super Bowl week, and was asked about Maxx Crosby, a guy who's got a lot of connections with, and this was a pretty simple back and forth conversation. Do you think that his time is done with the Raiders? That was the question. Glazer straight up just said, I do. Follow up before the draft, Glazer said, probably. He was then asked, is that a Raiders decision or Maxx's decision? Glazer went on to say, it's Maxx's decision. They don't want to do it. But he was just like, I'm not going through another rebuild. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Jay Glazer, NFL Insider, reporting that Maxx Crosby's time in Las Vegas is likely, quote, done. And for the longest time, there's always been interest in Maxx Crosby from across the league, but it's been the fact that he wants to stay. The entirety of his career, it's been, I want to be a Raider. I love being a Raider. I've only ever been a Raider. That's all I ever want to be. But I think after 6 long and exhausting seasons in Las Vegas, he's ready to get out. And look, it's the right decision for him. His career is absolutely wasting away in front of his eyes in Allegiant Stadium. And sure, he gets paid handsomely, gets to play in a pretty cool place, live in a pretty cool place. But if you're not winning, if your team is not competitive, if you are in this constant twilight zone of a rebuild in the National Football League, then what does it even matter? Because since he was drafted in 2019, they've gone through 6 head coaches. Clint Kubiak is going to be their 6th. Since his tenure, 9 starting quarterbacks, a 46-71 overall record, 1 playoff appearance, and 0 playoff wins. So now I look at this and I say, okay, Maxx Crosby most likely done being a Raider. He finally wants out. It is time for Baltimore to go all in, make a splash. Eric DeCosta, Jesse Minter, go out there and make a move and get somebody on this roster, somebody on this defensive line that can make a down-by-down impact. That isn't just a game changer. No. Maxx Crosby is a season. You think the Ravens should trade for Maxx Crosby? If you do, hit that thumbs up button. Like today's video for me right down below. It's been a pretty consistent career for Maxx Crosby of dominance. Now, he's taken a little bit of a step back over the last 2 seasons. But that's because he's struggled with injuries more on that and just a little bit. But played 15 games this last year, played through a pretty tough meniscus injury through it all, still rounded out 10 sacks on a defensive line that was horrific. Obviously, the back-to-back seasons, 2022, 2023, 89 and 90 tackles, 12.5, 14.5 sacks, combined 45 tackles for loss. That just goes to show you that when Maxx Crosby is healthy, he is one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. When Maxx Crosby is healthy, he is spoken in the same breath as Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, every single one of those guys. And right now, I look at the Baltimore Ravens, they've got a massive, massive, massive need at edge. How often were we watching this team this year and thinking, oh my goodness, how long is the quarterback going to be able to stand in the pocket? It didn't matter who it was, whether it was Aaron Rodgers, Whether it was Joe Burrow, Joe Flacco, Shador Sanders, it was bounce there for 15 seconds and then deliver a throw. No pressure consistently all season long. That was the reason your defense struggled so much. Well, you got somebody now as a coach who's here to help that. And if you pair him up, Maxx Crosby, Jesse Minter, I cannot think of a more dangerous duo in the National Football League. Because on your roster right now, Draymond Jones is a free agent. Kyle Van Noy is a free agent. David Ajabo, thank the Lord, he's a free agent. You got Tavius Robinson, Mike Green, Adisa Isaac. I'm just going to let that sit on us for a second because that is absolutely ridiculous. But of course, the big question is, with all of these guys, what is it going to cost? Because we can sit here all day long, talk about how much of a need this is, talk about how awesome this guy would be on this roster, but if you cannot attain him, then it's unrealistic. Jay Glazer was asked that exact same question. He said, probably more than Micah. So the day it happened, no less than 20 teams called me and asked, dude, is this real? Can we get him? What's it for? I'm like, hey, we're not there yet, but yes, it's real. Now, I'm not going to lie. I look at that price, I look at that quote, and I don't think that's legitimate, okay? In fact, I think that's honestly pretty ridiculous to even say that he would get what Micah would get. Like, that makes no sense to me. And there's a reason it makes no sense. It's because Micah Parsons is much younger. Now, Maxx Crosby's only 28 years old, right? He's not an old edge rusher by any sense of the word. But he's older than Micah is. He also is coming off of 2 pretty big injuries in back-to-back seasons, ankle injury, torn meniscus. So because Micah's younger, had stayed healthy in his career, like just because he got 2 firsts in Kenny Clark doesn't mean that that's the same amount of thing or same type of thing that the Raiders are going to want or expect from Maxx Crosby. I look at the trade, and I offer them this. I call Mark Davis on the phone, and I say, look, I'll give you a 2026 first-round pick, 14th overall, top half of the draft. It's a great pick right there. And I'll give you Marlon Humphrey, too. Okay? And if they say yes, man, I would do that in a heartbeat. Hell, if they want to throw in a 4th or 5th round pick as well, shoot. I'll sweeten the deal. I got no worries in doing that. Like, you look at it from Las Vegas's standpoint, and they get a needed cornerback. They need one badly on that roster. Also, if they wanted to trade out Marlon Humphrey for Roquan Smith, I'd do that as well. And then you help with that rebuild by giving them an extra first-round pick. They got Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty. They're about to have Fernando Mendoza, brand new head coach. You added a 14th overall pick. They go get a really good defender. Man, they are off and running in a really good direction. And the Ravens, in turn, they get their premier edge rusher. They have the money to do it. They have the draft capital to do it. And frankly, ladies and gentlemen, I think they should do it because they need somebody in this defense that can bring that edge. They got the coaches now. They didn't have anybody on staff to do that. They got people on staff now. Jesse Minter, Anthony Weaver, oh my goodness, you better believe he is going to bring the heat. Now you got to get the personnel to going to do the same thing because the coaches can only do so much. Okay? You get Maxx Crosby here, play like a Raven is back in Baltimore. Would you accept this trade? Type A for accept or D for decline down below in the comment section. We're going to get to free agent options if you don't want to trade for Maxx Crosby coming up on today's show, but I do got to give a big word to our sponsor. That's our friends over at Prize Picks, and the big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So close the season out right with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. This week, Prize Picks has a special max discount for the big game. Live in the app now. Drake May just needs 1 passing yard for the max discount to win. Just add another player in your lineup, and if your picks hit, you can cash in, join millions of users, and sign up for America's #1 sports picks app. It would be very silly to turn down something that is a max discount as big as what Prize Picks is giving you. So, of course, I got the Drake May half passing yard more in my lineup. I'm going to pair that up with the less on Ramondre Stevenson rushing yards and the more on Cooper Kupp 32.5 receiving yards. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Link to those promos in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. You got some decent free agent options at edge rusher if you don't want to go the trade route. Trey Hendrickson is a very, very interesting name. Obviously, name value-wise, there's nobody better than Trey Hendrickson at this position. In fact, there's probably nobody better just in free agency as a whole than Trey Hendrickson is. What concerns me is the age, 31 years old, and the fact that he only played in 7 games this last season because he was dealing with a back injury. A 31-year-old edge rusher dealing with a back injury, I don't know if that screams massive contract to me, personally. I honestly would much rather get Jalen Phillips. That might sound crazy, but he's another option. He got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles this year, had a really, really good season. Once he got traded to Philly, end of the year with 5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, but had to play the majority in, first half of the season in Miami, where their defense was not very good. I think he's young. I think he's talented. I think he's aggressive. And I think it might just be a better investment, Jalen Phillips, over Trey Hendrickson. But, I mean, if they go ahead and sign Trey Hendrickson, I'm not going to complain about it. I think one of the more realistic options is Khalil Mack out of Los Angeles, and for the reason that Jesse Minter is coming to Baltimore. I have a decent feeling that Jesse Minter is going to bring some Chargers with him. And why not Khalil Mack? Sure, he's a little bit older, but 5.5 sacks in 12 games. Like, he can still go out there and play football, ladies and gentlemen. And I would welcome Khalil Mack in Baltimore and would not even really think twice about it. Last up, an edge rusher just spent his time in Baltimore. How about Draymond Jones? I liked Draymond Jones a lot, okay? And I think if you pair Draymond Jones with Jesse Minter and the production that he's able to get out of that position group, I think it could be something really, really special. Now, obviously, it all depends on price. Very curious to see what Draymond Jones would go for in the open market. But, like, with this new staff going in, I feel like Draymond would probably want to stay as well. I think everybody still knows the Ravens can be dominant. They now just have the coaching staff to bring it out of them. Pick one of those 4, okay? Trey Hendrickson, Jalen Phillips, Khalil Mack, or Draymond Jones. Let me know your answer down below in the comments section. We're going to get out of here, but appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. We'll have a video out again tomorrow morning. Probably 2 tomorrow as well. So make sure you're subscribed. Have us locked in on those notifications as well. Follow me on socials. We'll see you next time.